speeding up as they left the bus lane. Look, he's running.
Sasakyan ah. Sasakyan itim. Ayan, yan. Yung
nasa dulo na.
kumakanan.
Umauter na, umauter.
That driver left the bus lane, I suspect upon seeing the enforcers, although if you ask them maybe they'll give you a different explanation. They went all the way out to the outside lane, nearly slipped through to be honest, but the enforcer managed to wave them down just in time, and they do appear to be compliant. They're having a hard time with someone that's speeding up as they left the bus lane. Look, he's running. Oh, so reckless. And I saw the enforcers also have a video. So they have the plate number. What they typically do in that scenario is give the plate to LTO and ask them to issue a show cause order. Although there was a statement recently by DOTr Secretary Vince Deason, and he said that in certain incidents or situations he wants the driver's license suspended immediately, regardless of the ongoing show cause order, especially I guess because a lot of people are ignoring show cause orders nowadays. I'm not saying that that rider would ignore it, but now I actually delayed uploading the incident you just saw so that I could give you an update from the future. LTO issued a show cause order requiring the owner of the motorcycle to attend a hearing at their office. They also issued a 90-day preventative suspension against his driver's license. Now those are just the initial steps. Once he has his hearing, they could suspend his license longer, they could revoke his license, they could just say, hey, actually you did nothing wrong at all. We have to wait until that hearing to know what the outcome is. Aside from being apprehended for bus lane violation, the enforcer is actually speaking to the driver about the plate cover at the front, because it's become dirty in a specific spot, and what's happened is it's made a 5 look like a 9. So when they were calling out the plate number on the radio, they were actually saying 9, but if you rub away that dirt, it's actually a 5. They did also apprehend a red plate vehicle just behind. And actually that reminds me of a comment that someone made recently asking how many red plate vehicles were apprehended on the first day of NCAP. Because some people believe that red plates are exempted. But if you remember back to the enforcement operations of Bong Nabria, whether it was clearing operations or bus lane operations, he and his team would often apprehend red plate vehicles. There was no special exemption. But as to how many they apprehended via NCAP on the first day, honestly I don't know. I'm not sure if they've released those statistics.
Puti.
Yan ay, kumalik to.
Ayan yun nasa ano, gilid. Yan na, yan sa likod.
Kulay-pula na ano, scooter map. Pula. Puting ano, scooter map.
Puti, yan.
Yan yung sumisilip-silip na yan.
Naka-gray na jacket. Ayan, pababa.
It's going too fast. Look, he's going to weave around them. Now, I'm not sure if you're able to see on camera because of the angle, but there were actually enforcers that went out to apprehend him, but he changed lanes and he got around them. There is a plate on the back though. And of course, one of the hot topics right now is drivers or riders that are removing their license plates or covering them so that they cannot be apprehended by NCAP. That's CCTV enforcement. Now, just in the time I've been standing here for around 2 minutes, I've seen numerous motorcycles without license plates or with unreadable plates. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it purposefully to defeat the cameras, but historically that's what has been the issue, that when you start enforcing by cameras, people start removing their license plates or covering them. Now, it's possible that when you watch this in 4K, you might spot even more than I do. I'm checking the cars, the motorcycles. Look, there's one there, no license plate on the back, so completely immune to NCAP. And I'll cut in various different examples I saw. I haven't seen any cars yet that had a covered plate or a missing plate. Actually, the volume of vehicles is very light right now. You see this? Look, let me zoom out a bit. Very light volume right now. Everything's flowing very well. And of course, another issue is that a lot of the motorcycles they apprehend, for example, in the bus lane, they haven't renewed their registration for several years. So if you start adding penalties to the plate number, well, they might not care, to be honest. And a lot of them are still registered in the previous owner. Now you might say maybe they don't have their plate from LTO yet. But if that's the case, you still have to attach a temporary license plate. And just again, to clarify, I'm not saying that everyone you see in this video is purposely removing their plates or concealing their plates, covering their plates. It could just be normal wear and tear. It could be that whatever random incident happened and that's how the plate got covered. But whatever the reason is, it's obviously getting worse. And now historically, this has been one of the harder areas to enforce because of the speed of drivers or riders. But around a week ago, they actually apprehended a rider here, no license plate on the back, using the bus lane. And allegedly, he brought the plate out from his box and said that the screws broke or something like that the day before. And that's something you'll hear a lot of the time. Anyway, they issued him a penalty ticket for the bus lane plus the plate violation. And they made him reattach the license plate before riding away. The rider coming now, he's going kind of fast. Is he going to stop? This rider's from another country, but he does have a local license. According to the enforcer, he said he knows he's not allowed inside the bus lane, but he's running late for something important. There's no denying that NCAP has massively reduced the number of violators on the road. And I'm not just talking about here in the bus lane, even simple things like traffic lights. Remember before you'd stop at a red light, and then how many people do you see completely ignore it and keep driving and blast their way through? And it's not just about NCAP. The problem is, and we've seen this countless times, those who remove their plates or cover their plates, when something happens on the road, for example, they hit a pedestrian or they have a crash with another vehicle, the tendency is that they run away because they cannot be identified. They avoid any kind of responsibility. So it's not just about them defeating the cameras so that they can do whatever they want on the road, counterflow, ride on the sidewalk, use the bus lane, whatever it might be. It's also about what happens when something goes wrong, how they escape any kind of responsibility.